business sector. $1 and 10% of the employment to our country's economy. Every Thursday at 6:30 a.m., Mike King and I will introduce you to a local nonprofit for businesses incorporating support of the nonprofit community into their business model. Community First is a nonprofit support company helping all nonprofits with their operational needs. Call us at 804-677-9116. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic, the premier business radio program around. This part of the Mike King Biz Radio Network, which is ESPN Richmond 106.1 every day from 5 to 7, The Choice 105.3 every day from 2 to 3, as well as International Business Growth Radio. We do like LeBron, we take our talents global, and we showcase what's going on in the community here. So join me as our cutting edge show. We uplift the community and showcase RVA in a different way. You know what time it is. We are here at The Choice, WQCN 105.3. If you want to talk to us, hey, we got a lot going on in the studio today. Give us a call, 804-638-3419. Mike King is here. We got friends and friends. We got breaking news. I got news people in the house with us, too. It's not just me. All right, so, I left the light on and an old friend came back. Okay, so we got the WRIC ABC talent in the house with us, the news team with the brand new 4 p.m. news. All right, so Eric Phillips is here with us. He's family, but he's been around Richmond for a while, a long time. He got ties here. He left, went to CBN, but he came back, and now he is a partner here. So I'm going to just throw it over to these guys here on the mic with Mike. Heather and Eric, welcome to the program.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yes, happy to be here. Hey, Mike.
All righty, so Heather, we're going to start with you. So new to Richmond, you've been here forever.
Forever in like 3 weeks.
Okay, there you go. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, Heather Hope here. Tell us who you are and what you do. I always say it's a business show.
Yes, so name is Heather Hope, new here to Richmond, WRIC, ABC News, Channel 8, with co-anchor Eric Phillips here. We're excited to kick off our 4 p.m. newscast starting Monday, September 12th. So I'm here especially for that. I last came from the CBS affiliate in San Diego. I was in Oklahoma City before that, and I started off in Bakersfield, California. So I'm from Atlanta originally, and I went to school at the Ohio State University.
My grandkids are Buckeye kids.
Okay.
Yeah, they're Buckeye kids. Yeah. We used to go to the wing place in German Village. What's the chicken wing place that's all over?
The Roosters.
I can remember. See, that's what happens when you get old. I'll remember, but we always enjoyed. My son, he lived in Franklin Town. So so shout out to. We're going to talk about you being here. We're going to talk about some journalism, how you got started, and so folks. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have some contests today. We have tickets to the Squirrels game. Shout out to my man Will Melton from Exponent 21. 4 tickets to the game on Wednesday. I think it's next Wednesday, the 14th. I think that's what it is. We also have a giveaway for some passes. It's gift certificates to the Capitol Ale House. So shout out to my good friends over there at the Capitol Ale House, Amy DeFore, and all those guys. Eric Phillips, tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, hopefully folks will remember me. I'm not a stranger to this neck of the woods, but I came to RVA back in 2015 when I first was working for our competitor station.
We're not to be named. We are not, no shade, but we are not.
No shade whatsoever. None whatsoever. But that's why I first came to town and left in 2018. And as you mentioned, went to go work for CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network, out of the DC Bureau. So I still was living here in RVA, though.
We used to follow your travels.
Yes.
Me and my wife used to follow you on your travels up to DC every day.
Because I would post a lot on Facebook about my travels, and I had a little section called the Metro Maestros.
Yes.
Because if you ever take the Metro in DC, you know that there are singers, people playing instruments, blowing horns. I mean, you can get some really good performances at the Metro stations in DC. So I always enjoyed that. And sometimes I would stop and go live with them and have a little fun. So it was a good experience. But after a couple of years, this opportunity opened up, and it meant I didn't have to travel from here to DC every day, which was a nice change. Because although doing it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I rode a commuter van, coming across town is even better. How about that?
That is true. That cuts down on that commute.
That's right.
It
That's
definitely does. All righty, so folks, tell us about your the upcoming news at 4. You guys are moving into that space now to get us. There's a lot of information out there. Let's talk about what people can expect for that. And also, I'd be remiss to say, Minister Tiger, Eric is a religious man as well. Whenever I get around, you guys always want to say, I'd be remiss. My sister's a preacher, so I always like to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't want to thank the folks over at WRIC. Having talent go places is very important, and I understand that. So shout out to them and thank them for that. So you guys can tell us about the newscast.
So, here's the deal. WRIC is going to be the third of the 3 major affiliates here in this market to start a 4 p.m. newscast. And so we gave the others an opportunity to do their 4 p.m. and see what they're doing right and see what they're doing wrong. And now we're going to come at 4 and dominate. That's the basic plan.
That's the way it works.
Yeah. So we'll be starting on Monday, the 12th of September, as Heather mentioned. And we have been preparing immensely for this opportunity. Recently, we did some research in the market, and we know what people are looking for. We know the type of news they're looking for at 4 o'clock, and that's what we plan to give them. We are familiar with the audience, and so we are tailor-making a newscast for people who want news at 4 o'clock. And we found out recently that there is an increasing appetite for news at 4.
Yeah, so more people want to see news at that time, and not just regular news, but also traffic. People want more weather. There's always something up and down, roller coaster weather in Richmond. Is it raining? How hot is it going to be?
Because where you came from, I spent a lot of time living up the coast in Monterey. Where you came from, there wasn't roller coaster weather.
At all.
The weather was just nice.
All the time.
All the time.
So
Yes.
you see the forecast, it would be always the same. It was a copy and paste, wash, rinse, repeat kind of forecast. Here in Richmond, you need to stay tuned.
Yes, you do. Now, I'm from up north, and I'm waiting to get to October when they turn the heat off, because it's a little bit on the hot side. All right, so folks, let's talk about journalism. And so I had your colleague on, and we talk about, so John Rogers came on the program, and we also talked about journalism as opposed to TV personalities, that you guys are journalists. And that's what we talk. So let's talk about the pull to journalism and how did it happen and how did you get to TV?
So for me, mainly just starting with newspapers. So I did that while I was at the Ohio State University, and from that background, and the more and more internships that I did, be it in Columbus, be it when I got my master's at USC, and we were looking at all things London. Now I got to intern at the CBS London Bureau, and that was so fascinating seeing news on this macro international level. Because here, we're so provincial, we're like, oh, we just find out maybe in our city,
Yes.
maybe our county. But when you're on that level, they know what's happening in Spain, Greece is doing what, everyone's following everything. So just really attracted to journalism, and then just seeing how the business continually evolves. Because there's that fine line between media personality and true journalist, and that line gets crossed each time, it gets blurred, and there's so much to it, so many facets. And that's what excites me and brings me back to the business each time.
One of my ESPN Richmond choice, that's where we are. You can give us a shout if you'd like to talk to the good folks here from WRIC. The number is 804-638-3419. So we always talk about when you come into the house, we always talk to Minister Tiger about what's going on out there. So what's happening on the campus?
Welcome back, Mike. Welcome, Brother Eric.
Thank you very much.
Heather.
Glad to be
Bless
here.
y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. This is awesome, man. But Mike always does it. Top shelf. Top shelf.
Well, I got and so back in those days, Eric, I used to hear they had a TV show.
Yeah.
And so that's where I first became acquainted with the Foot Family. Never in years would I have ever thought that I would be here a year and something down the road coming here. We have all kinds of people come through here. This is the place, it's great. The atmosphere is great here. I found a home. So what else is going on?
Well, look, and we want to take a moment and give a shout out to our UK brothers and sisters. The recent loss of world-renowned Queen Elizabeth. So, that's affected everybody across the globe. So we want to just take a moment and honor her life here at Choice 105.3 FM. Also to to Faith and Love Fellowship Church. We got a lot of things going on. We're preparing for a live recording next month. We're actually going to go through a project where we're doing 3 parts to an album that's coming out next year. So we're working on that. Y'all keep it locked here. You're gonna find out more details. Shout out to New Direction Evangelistic Church. They got what's her name? Evelyn Turntine Agee coming in this month to minister there. You know, that's kind of our brother church. My uncle is there, Bishop Foots, and of course Pastor Foots' brother. So a lot is going on, and we want to thank y'all for always tuning in to Choice 105.3 FM. You're now rocking with the Bless Y'all Choice.
All right, we're at the Choice. So anybody, so we have 4 tickets to the game to the Squirrels. It is on, well, I'm sorry, folks, if I was prepared and I was a real media personality. All right, on the 14th. So if anyone would want 4 tickets to the 14th, give us a shout. You can come by the church and claim them. So the number is 804-638-3419. You can get pick up your tickets here. This is with Mike King, Exponent 21, and our good family at the church.
Okay, so breaking news.
Breaking news.
We will be at that game as well. So if you happen to come to that game on Wednesday night,
It is community.
It is community night, and we are part of the community. And so we'll be happy to say hello, shake hands, hug necks, and all that kind of stuff. We'll be there for in between our shows, in between our 6 and 11 o'clock newscast. We'll stop by. So if you pick up the tickets, look for myself, Heather, Deanna, and others from the 8 News team.
Shout out to Deanna Britton. She came to the program a while back. She really, that was a real conversation I had with her about the media. She's like, my business card says journalist. Like, don't get it confused. It's not just about the glitz and glamour of TV. So WRC is known to be neighborhood oriented. Let's talk a little bit about that right there. What's the core of it?
So, you know, our slogan is the news where you live. And so on a daily basis, we try to live up to that slogan. In other words, stories that are, you know, Heather just talked about how, you know, working in the Bureau in London, they took things on a macro level. They were looking at it on a large scale. We like to bring it right to your door and how it affects you and your day-to-day life. How do the stories that we're telling you about, how do you digest it? And what does it mean to you as you live your life? That's really what News Where You Live is all about. You know, it may not be that every story we do is right on your street or that it's right in your neighborhood per se, but it's going to be in your area and somehow it's going to affect you. And so it's our job as journalists to point out to you how this affects your life. And we try to do that in a way that's going to be effective each day.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to my man, Damon Reynolds over there. That is my guy.
He's my guy too.
Yeah, no, you know what the funny thing is? People have said to me, boy, Damon Reynolds reminds me of Eric Phillips.
People have said that, huh?
Yes, people said.
Yeah.
And there were people over at WRIC who said the same thing. When I was there a couple weeks ago, I was there to stuff the bus.
Okay.
We were there that day, and I guess the bad things happened with the bus. But yeah, Deanna had invited me, and when I was there with Damon, and somebody said, wow, you know, he seems like a young Eric Phillips. And you know what I said? That's right.
You know, I have to say, he reminds me of me too. if I'm just honest, I'm like, man, I'm looking at him and I'm saying, wow, okay. Damon's a good guy. He is, he's new to Channel 8. He's been there for a couple of months. We are super, super excited to have him on our team. He particularly is a part of our night side team. You'll find him leading the news on 8 News at 11 Monday through Friday. And he is just bringing an energy to the newscast that I think a lot of people are noticing. And, you know, I will say this too, and without any shame or shade, he is saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, and running for his life.
I have to tell you,
Blood-born believers in the journalism. I like this.
when I first met him, I was doing a TV show, and the conversation had gotten a kind of sideways. So I knew him, but I really didn't know him. I'm like, listen, go and come on air and get recorded and say some soothing words. Because he told me I'm a divinity student. I'm like, well, you're qualified in my book.
Right.
And you know what? That started our relationship. He came on, we've done the TV shows together. So he does have a calming effect. You know, he is a good Christian guy, and it's always a pleasure rocking with him. We're here at The Choice 105.3. We're here with Heather as well as Eric. Let's talk about a person sees you guys on TV. Heather, young girls see you. young boys see, they want to figure out, how do I do this thing? How do I get from here to where you are? The steps.
I know there's so many steps too. You have a route like maybe Devon took with the divinity student. I think he came from the radio background.
Yes, he
and
did.
something like this. And then for someone like myself, just having an interest in it, either doing from the newspaper or from the broadcasting standpoint. And for a lot of us just start in school. So many of us take journalism, communication classes, not knowing if this is something we want to make a career or not. And then from there, getting those internships, meeting with people like yourself, getting those real hands-on teaching jobs, getting those mentors, people like Eric, have people to show you the business, show you the ropes. And when you do that more and more, and you finally get that first job, that big break in the business, it all becomes a realization for you.
So, E, when you were at the station not to be mentioned, so what was it like going from a general regular station to CBN? Because I remember my wife used to we're like, yo, there's Eric.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I always had this desire to work for CBN, to tell you the truth.
Oh, really?
I did. But I never knew exactly how to break into it because there's just not many people who work there. Like, you don't come across people on a daily basis who work at CBN. And the reason why I was interested in doing it is because I always wondered what it would be to sort of marry two main areas of my life, journalism and faith. I wondered what that would be, how that would play out. And going to CBN gave me a chance to play that out on a daily basis. It was awesome, quite frankly. I mean, the types of things that you do in an average newsroom, we did there as well. But for example, the morning meeting started and ended with prayer. That alone was like, whoa!
That's a little different.
Yeah. And if somebody was going out for a surgery or something like that, we would gather at lunchtime to lay hands on them and to pray for them. And in the workplace, and it was not only okay, but it was encouraged, because at the end of the day, you're working for a ministry that had a news component. But we were also serious journalists as well. When you saw our stories, it's not like our stories from beginning to end were all about praise the Lord,
no.
Hallelujah. I mean, we were talking about real issues. We were covering real
because
news.
You were on the political beat there.
I was. Well, I started off as national security correspondent there,
Right.
which there's always a lot to talk about where national security is concerned. And while I was there, I was promoted to White House correspondent, which was awesome, and it gave me some really good experience. So it was I will say a very good experience. I would not have left CBN just for any old opportunity. There had been others that had come along. I would not have left if I didn't feel really that this was the right opportunity for me here at Channel 8, and that God was opening the door for me.
You came home.
That's why I'm here. But certainly no shade to CBN. It was a great experience, and I got a chance to see what that marriage of two main parts of my life would be like.
So Eric is here, Heather is here with us. Heather, ma'am, you are here in Richmond now. What's it like to be a journalist living through a time like George Floyd? And it's something that changed the world. And you've seen the world. So I lived in Europe. I was in the Army for a long time. So lived overseas, a bunch of places. The world isn't as big as people think.
Right.
And it's a bunch of people who live, in their area. But America, we kind of think everything is us. And that's not the case.
Right, we get very insular, everyone gets very narrow-minded.
What was it like covering the George Floyd? Because people here know what the coverage looked like in Richmond. What was the tenor and tone in California where people think that everything is laid back?
I know it was different. Then you would be like, whoa, are we going to have protests here? Do people know what this is? How dynamic is it going to be? And it was almost the polar opposite, where the Black community in San Diego, where I worked, wasn't like, oh, let's us all mobilize. It was a lot of non-Black people, a lot of Latinos, a lot of white people who were organizing the rallies. And so that was good on one level. Then you had some Black people like, wait a minute, they like hijacking the movement from us, what's going on? And so we would almost have where we were coming together, but they weren't huge like you'd see in Atlanta and Dallas, here in Richmond. But it was still good just to see that you have folks from all different backgrounds. Folks don't even know why we're really out there. What does George Floyd mean to me? This is so far away. How does this even work out? But they were starting to learn and getting a crash course on police and race relations that so many people saw over and over again. So I think that's their lived experience, and everyone was forced to deal with that in May 2020.
And that was something that we talked about. We live in an information age now. And I talked to John Rogers. I also talked to Deanna Britton about what it takes for a story to get to the news. For me sitting at home looking at it, It's not just like a podcast or someone sitting at the crib, I'm gonna post this. No, it's more than that. You guys are making sure news is news.
Well, that's exactly it. And you, in the process of making sure that news is news, that means that we can't do every story that someone calls us about.
I
That
bet
means
you
that
guys
we
did a
can't
lot of
do
stories.
every story that someone emails us about. There is a vetting process that takes place. And while someone may feel very passionate about a subject matter, that doesn't necessarily make it news. So, we have standards that we have to meet. And if we didn't, people would call us out for that. So we have to stay true to ourselves. But the whole idea is, you talk about George Floyd, for example. Not only did George Floyd happen when it did, but it happened in the middle of a pandemic. And at that point, I was at CBN and I was working from home. All of us were working from home. So there I was in my basement as national security correspondent. That's a huge national security issue that's happening, that's unfolding in our nation, in our world. And so I was essentially in charge of most of the stories involving Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and any of the others that were happening around that time. It was a heavy time. It was very heavy every day covering that type of news, and identifying with it at the same time, but having to be an objective journalist where that's concerned. It was a heavy time, and I'm in some ways I'm glad that I was able to be in my basement by myself in some ways covering it, because I was able to process it the way that I needed to process it there. But that is all part and parcel of what we have to do on a daily basis. Perhaps not always on a George Floyd level, but every day we have to, put on our big boy pants and big girl pants and do stories. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're tough, but we always have to make sure they're news.
Eric Phillips is there. Heather Hope is here with us. They are the news team, 4 p.m. WRIC. At that time, whether it's the pandemic, George Floyd, content is just flying out there. It's like, how do you keep up with it? And from a news standpoint, how do you know what to broadcast? What do you hold back? There's a competitive side. I mean, I know it was an exciting time, but I know it had to be crazy.
Right, and there is that vetting process that Eric's talking about when you're seeing so many different things and emerging media. TikTok really exploded in 2020. So
I
we see a lot of
never
videos
thought-
on that.
The funny thing was, I feel like the oldest man in history. I never thought that TikTok would be taken seriously.
And that's the thing.
Businesses jumped on it.
We get videos from it, and then I think Trump almost shut it down, and then it still came back, and so now people are doing full broadcasts through it. People are selling products through it, and so when folks are even submitting resumes, and then we see video from that we may want to use for a newscast, it goes down like vetting, how can we use this, using the full TikTok background just to know that, hey, make sure they get their money, make sure we're not like stealing their content. And we see so many clips and videos, we get phone calls from all different sources. So it's a lot to go through each day that comes through our digital team, so many eyes, our producers who lay eyes on it and make that big game time decision as to what will be on our newscast.
So you guys are on at 4 o'clock. We're gonna get to the logistics of this right here. We talked to the morning folks, and I'm a morning person, so that part does not bother me. What time do you get to the station to be on at 4?
I know that me and Eric are different because he anchors and holds it down for the evening newscast. While I'll be there earlier in the day today for the noon show, and so I'll have kind of your standard 9 to 5, 9:30 to 5 or 6:30 type schedule, and that's when I get in. We have our morning editorial meeting at 9:30, and so that's when I start my shift. And then Eric comes in with so many of us doing our 2:30 p.m. meeting.
It's a 2:30. Alrighty. Heather, you've gone multiple cities. How do you go to a city and learn enough of the city to start reporting on it?
And that's the cool thing about reporting. They don't care how much you learn of it, you will still report, and as you report, you learn. So it's almost like with life. It's a life class. You hop in somewhere, you say this, it's not Henrico, it's Henrico.
I had the
You
same
learn
one.
that
I did have
and
that.
apply.
Yes,
So
and
it's
people are
still
corrected
like
because I was called a Parham, and people are like, no, and it's not Henrico. Okay, and people know that you're not from.
I know the pole line versus the pound height.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing.
Yes.
That is an ongoing debate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So wait a second. So Dana Armstead Guy is a friend of ours. She runs a nonprofit called Baby Buns for Life, and I'm sure maybe people have heard about it. Oh, it is, they support families with kids in the NICU. So, and it is spinal cord, September is Spinal Cord Awareness Month, Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month. So make sure, hey, get out and support our good friends over there at Baby Buns for Life. Dana is doing some amazing work. It became Baby Buns for Life because she announced her husband that they were having a baby, and it was buns in the oven.
Oh, okay.
But their child has had some medical challenges. Their child was in the NICU for a year. That's what they do is they support. So Dana, shout out to them. Lisa Tranning, a good friend over there. She's a Bombshell. She's not a Bombshell, but she is our branding expert. She's my partner there and one of Women Speaking Sports. So you learn the area as you're reporting on it. What stood out? And has it been a while since you've been on the East Coast?
It has. I've never worked on the East Coast professionally. It's always been West Coast or Central Time Zone. So, and the first time for ABC affiliates. So each place you go, it's something new. And then I have the majority of my family here on the East Coast. A lot of people went to Hampton. All my family went to Spelman and Morehouse. A lot in Atlanta out here. So it's cool. We all can be on the same time zone because as we saw during the pandemic, everyone's calling all day. A lot of family group chats. Versus in the morning, and so I'm not getting it at 5 a.m. this time. So I'm getting it on
You're getting
Standard Time.
you know, I kind of say you're getting with the rest of us, but that is no shade. California, I always say shout out to California. It did change me fundamentally. That my mindset totally changed. I was 19 when I went, and I understood that you didn't have to be your stuff. It was people are more holistic, and that was sort of my thing. Hey, you're listening to Mike King. I'm sitting in for Coach E right now. Coach E is a financial expert. She's not in today. We're going to catch up with her next week. As I said, we do have Squirrels tickets. We also have passes to Capitol Ale House. So if you guys want those, make sure you give us a shout. We're here with not the morning team. It is the 4 p.m. team from WRIC. We are here. We'll be back.
So we call ourselves the extreme team, just so you know.
All right, man. I was waiting for the real Eric Phillips to pop out.
Just telling you.
He was holding it in for a while.
So the morning team, at Channel 8, the morning team is the dream team, and the evening team is the extreme team, because we are extreme.
I can imagine that the evening crew is like that. So what is it like going from different affiliates to, say, if you're a CBS affiliate to an 80s? Is it a culture difference, or when you're getting there, you're reporting the news?
Yeah, a lot of times if there isn't a huge change that you like that's palpable that you know. I was at a lot of CBS and started off a lot of NBC affiliates. It's cool when you look at your different lead-ins. Like for our 4 p.m. it'll be Dr. Phil, but we also had Dr. Phil as a lead-in for the 4 p.m. at my last station. But now we're seeing more ABC shows. Like Eric and I are a promo now for Abbott Elementary, which we've come to.
Not from Philly. So okay. You know that's a spot for me.
Right.
That has to be the funniest show going. It is stereotypical, but you know, they're hitting it on every time. When people see you, so you're here now, but in San Diego, when people would look at you and are trying to figure you out, like, we don't think you guys are real. You guys are not. We just see you in that box right there, telling us good stuff, telling us bad stuff, a joke every so often. But you're not real people. And then when people meet you, what's it like?
How they treat you when they see you in the streets. Yeah.
You know, I think that people are kind of used to seeing me in the streets around here. So usually it's like, hey, are you that guy?
Hey, are you
that? What? And you know, sometimes I've gotten, are you a football player? I'll say, well, actually, yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
No, but folks are always extremely gracious. And in this market, people watch their local news. Like, you know, some markets, I guess people may be a little bit more prone to watch national news and that type. Here in Richmond, people don't just watch it on a surface level. People are watching. They're watching the type of stories you do. They're watching what you follow up on. They're watching how you deliver it. And they will speak back to you via email, via social media, phone calls, and let you know that they are watching. So, you know, when you say how we receive when we're out in the streets, I think that there is a sense of familiarity because people are paying attention, very close attention to their local news.
The socials, how can people find it out there? Heather?
Yeah, so on IG, on Instagram, I'm Heather Hope TV. It's the same for Twitter, I believe. No, it's Hope News 8. It's my last station's News 8, but now it's 8 News. I'm like, well, that's close enough. That's me on Twitter, and then on Facebook is also facebook.com/HeatherHope.
Back in the, now this is when it started to feel like the old man. Back in the day, I remember we used to watch the team in DC. We used to live in Gaithersburg, and when they went to commercial, they started with the whole hand game, playing games, just having a good time between on the commercial breaks. Now you guys don't have that time anymore. The second it's over, I remember you would go right off. We'll be back in a moment, and here you're right on to the social media thing.
Yeah, well, so because people, that is a major way that folks are following you these days. And what you're talking about is I used to go, when I was anchoring mornings in particular, I would go live on Facebook while I was anchoring the show. And in so doing, it created this group of people known as the Vegetables. And we just kind of picked the name and called them the Vegetables. And there was a group that actually followed me very regularly on social media, on Facebook. And then it grew into meetups.
Remember, we went to the one over on the south side.
Yes.
That's where me and my wife were there that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It was so, we had about 3 of them, I think, and people would show up and they just wanted to be part of, the group. And it was one of those things where, you're living life together and just kind of encouraging one another. That's what the group is and was all about. So it just goes to show the power of social media and again, how closely people are paying attention. I want to say this too, because it's kind of unique where Heather and I are concerned, because you always talk about the big 6 degrees of separation. Heather gets here and we're talking, and of course I find out that she's from Atlanta, and I said, I lived in Atlanta for a while, and she said, and I asked her what church she went to, because she grew up in Atlanta, what church she went to. Turns out she and I went to the same church in Atlanta at the same time.
Come on, man. How many churches are there in Atlanta? It's not like you're going to Atlanta. It's just like there's 3 churches. What's the chances of that?
At the same time, and if you named out Smyrna, Smyrna, Georgia. Wait a minute. At that time, only about a few that we would have been at necessarily in the church outside of Detroit, and we were going to about year 2000. So we were at the same time. Eric was singing in the choir. Had no idea, how everyone will connect later on.
All right. So what we do here, you just can't put out names. You got to give a church shout out. What's the name of the church?
We were at FCC Faith Christian Center for the longest. I was going there in the early 90s. Eric said you came in there for
in 2000 or 2008, and it was a satellite church. Part of Word of Faith Christian Center in Southfield, Michigan. Bishop Keith Butler is the bishop of that church. He opened satellite churches all over the country. One of them was in Atlanta called Faith Christian Center. His son at the time, Pastor Andre Butler, was the pastor. And so, we were there at the same time. Did not know it until we started working together here, at WRIC and just talking about, Atlanta. Hey, where'd you worship? Oh, I worship. And then, and then we were asking the other questions to make sure.
Are you sure?
We had to vet one another.
We just had an opening for a tenor voice here too, just to let you know.
Oh, really?
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what's called recruiting at its best.
Right.
You can't open a door like that. Show us what you got. All right, so wait a second. You have a guy who's in a movie. I saw your post. Shout out your guy right there. And you know what? The movies that they make at that brand are outstanding.
Oh man, I am so very proud. He's my brother. He's my brother from another mother. His name is Harlan Ernest. And if you go onto my Facebook page, you'll see I posted about it today. The movie is actually being released in theaters today. It's called LifeMark, the makers of Fireproof and what's the name? Fireproof and I can't even think of the name of the other one right now. But anyway, the makers of those movies are coming out with a new movie called LifeMark. It's about a kid who was adopted and this whole journey in terms of meeting his birth mother. And it's a family-friendly movie, and it is Christian themed. My boy Harlan, he is in it. It's his biggest role so far, and it's been so great watching him grow in his craft. Because I've been on the sidelines and in the background watching him work and try to do what he can to boost his acting career. This is his biggest role yet. I wouldn't say he's a starring role, but it's his biggest role yet, supporting role in the movie. And so I'm really excited and happy for him, and I encourage folks to go out and see. It's only going to be in movie theaters for 1 week. And again, it's called LifeMark. It's playing here in this local market, so give it a try.
When I looked at that, there was a movie that I saw also there. This was called Discarded Things, and it was the same Christian-based, faith-based movie. So, when you're checking out that one, make sure you check this out, Discarded Things. They're really doing some great things. So one of Mike King sitting in for Coach E. Up next, we have Steph B. She is the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown. She also has 16.
Is it a firm though?
I think as far as
Samuel,
I think it's Kendrick Brothers or yeah,
Alice Kendrick, that's right.
yeah. I think that's what I think that's what it is. And yes,
We gotta find out more.
Fire, that is, you know what?
And the other one's called Like.
the one that's opening tonight is called Light Park. Yes.
And shout out to them. Good luck to them out there with all the things. Yeah, whoever wants to come on, this is the place. That's what we do. We talk to the best and the brightest. But Steph B is up next with she is the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown. She also gives you 16 bars of business. She gives you business, society, culture, everything wrapped up into one. There's nobody else like her out there. All right, so also one of my shout out to my crew, which is Women Speaking Sports, RVA. They do sports. They do sports every Wednesday at the Hilton downtown. So shout out to good friends at the Hilton. That is Lisa Triney, Steph B, Dr. Danny, Danielle Fitzhugh, Carrie Roth, as well as Star Mallory. They give you sports. It's women speaking sports, and they had a little bit of an argument going the other day. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan, so I mean both of them. The Steelers, I'm okay. The Cowboys, I'm sorry. I just want to be petty because I'm in church. I don't want to go there, but I may need some help because there's no. All right, so we got to run. I know these folks got to get over and do. The newscast starts on Monday. Once again, how can people find you guys out there?
Yeah, so I'm again at Heather Ho TV. Those are my handles for Instagram and for Facebook there.
Yeah. So on Facebook, I'm just Eric Phillips. Phillips has one L. And on Instagram, Eric Phillips TV. And on Twitter, just simply Eric Phillips.
So, folks, I know you guys run into a lot of people. Heather, you're going to start meeting people. They're going to start telling you stories about things. If there's anyone out there, any nonprofits who need help, that's what we do every day. Last year, my platform, we donated 19,000 minutes of free airtime to nonprofits to come and tell their story. They have a story. We're helping them get the word out with good friends and supporters like we have here at The Choice as well. So you guys know of any nonprofits that are out there. This is Mike King. We are here coming to you from The Choice WQCN. Mr. Tiger, anything else you want to give us before you jump off?
No, shout out to Eric for looking out for the Metro musicians. We're the
Metro
home
Maestros.
Metro Maestros. We're the home of independent gospel artists. So that's another independent artist that we need to recognize. Those who are out there doing it right on the street. That's as independent as you can get. So shout out to that. I hope you can bring that. Well, we don't have Metro. I don't know what to call them here.
Yeah, it's a little difficult because they were right there at the Metro station. You would get off the train and they'd be there jamming, just like, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. But it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It was fun doing that. So one of the benefits of going to DC every day.
Yeah.
There you go. On the mic, we'd like to thank you folks for coming in. It's been an honor. Heather, it's nice to meet you. Welcome to Richmond. I've been here 8 years now. It is a city that it's welcoming. A lot's going on here. There's opportunity from a business standpoint, and that's where I hang my hat. There's a lot going on here. Shout out to even the administration during when they made the decision to take the statues down. It was, I came from conservative radio. There were not many people who were happy. And when I asked the mayor how you want to be remembered, he said, I want to be remembered because I made a consequence. I had other administrations because I asked them, what would you want history to say about LeVar Stoney 100 years from now? And he said, I wanted to be of consequence. I'm like, sir, you took those statues down, you were remembered. One way or the other. It's not going to be. I wonder if he had anything to do with that meals tax thing. Nah, people were not. So this is a place, one of we bring you the best and the brightest. As I say, part of the Mike King Radio Network. ESPN Richmond 6.1 every day, 5 and 7. The Choice, that's where we are. This is, folks, Mr. Tiger, we've had the band come on here.
Yeah.
We've had all of our friends come through. This is the place.
Is this season 2 plus? What is this? We're never divided up.
I don't know. I just show up here on Fridays just having a good time. I tell the crew, come and meet us down here. Like I said, your dad came to ESPN. I had to explain to the pastor that you own this station.
Oh, yeah.
You can take all the time you want.
That's right.
I'm on the clock over there. If we gotta I'm worried when I get a pastor
I
microphone.
noticed they kept bringing the mics. You know, my dad gets into it. So we had the mic, but they kept bringing the mic down. I'm like, hey.
Getting comfortable.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Foot here, you dropping some nuggets of knowledge. But let me tell you something, this is a place where the magic happens. We got to run. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you, Heather. Welcome to Richmond. Eve, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I'm
It's
so happy to
always
be
a
here.
pleasure. All right, we got to run. On the mic, Mike, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, take care.